today we're going to go through an entire glute day. So the focus is glutes, glutes, glutes. We're starting out with a unilateral glute thrust using the machine, the station at the gym. And in this particular demo, I put together several different variations of what you can do with the non-working leg. So go ahead and give those different variations a shot, see which one feels best to you, see where you feel most stable, and then you can knock out your reps. Unilateral, we're looking anywhere between 10, 8 maybe, and 15, just kind of depending on how strong or weak you are. And again, the unilateral work is so very, very good for helping us understand and correcting any kind of muscle imbalance or any kind of weakness that we might have on one side versus the other side. So give that one a shot. So we're starting out with that.
All right, so we're going to do the glute thrust, but we're going to do it single leg, so unilateral glute thrust. There's a couple different ways that you can do this. So we want to set up, we do want to make sure that with our leg that's going to be working, we want to make sure that the toe is pointed forwards and we have that knee is going to be stacked over the ankle as we perform the exercise. So with your setup, you can go ahead and keep one leg long. So this would be our non-working leg. Or you can, if that's hard for you, actually that would be about the easiest way. You can also take the non-working leg and you can stack it up over that knee. And this way you're going to get a stretch on the non-working glute. So I'm going to show you, that's actually how I'm going to do the exercise. So here we're set up. Make sure the pad is at the base of the shoulder blades. We're going to lift off. So here you can stretch your leg out. This is going to be about the easiest way. So you should feel just that glute working on the working leg. You can stack the ankle over the knee here. And then this non-working leg is going to get a nice stretch on the glute, but you're still going to feel load on the working leg. Or if your quad and your hip flexor are really strong on the non-working side, you can hold the leg up in the air. So those are your variations for the single leg glute thrust.
From there, we're going to move into a seated hip abduction. This is a variation using blocks to add some extra range of motion to the exercise. So it makes it a little bit more challenging. It is a great favorite of mine. This one, since we're a machine, we're a very stable place. You can work anywhere between 10 and I've done as many as like 30 reps. It really just depends on where your level is at, what your goal is. But again, we want to be working in a challenging range. So even if you are hitting those high reps like 20, 30, you want to be working very, very hard, not just sitting there and, making butterflies. So that's our second exercise. This is a seated hip abduction variation. So we're putting 2 yoga blocks right on the edge of your knee. So right against the pad. And we're going to lean back. Your hips are not against the seat. There's forward slightly of that back seat, probably about 2 to 3 inches. And then our feet are resting on those foot pads very, very lightly. Like you should honestly be able to pick your foot up off that support and still just use the power of your hips to move the knees. And then with this exercise, we're not actually thinking about moving the knees. What you're doing is you're thinking about contracting the glute to pry open the hip to move the knees. So really, really focus here on contracting the glute and then using also the resistance in the glute on the way back to middle on the eccentric portion in order to control both parts of the exercise. So contraction on the way out and the eccentric, the lengthening portion on the way in. And that is another variation for the seated hip abduction. From there, we're going to move over onto the back extension machine or station. And with this particular exercise, we are not working the lower back. That's not our goal. It's supposed to be glute drive. And we do that by keeping the spine in a really neutral position and really making a conscious effort not to overextend through the lower back. So it's simply a hip hinge and we're contracting the glutes, using the glutes to lengthen and then contract the glutes to come back up. So again, it's all glutes here.
This is a glute driven back extension. We're going to use a dumbbell. So it's easiest to hold a dumbbell by the sides rather than trying to hold a plate. So we want to make sure our feet are firmly pressed into those foot plates. You want toes pointed slightly out. As we're coming up, you're contracting the glutes, and we're not coming up into a back extension. You're just coming up as high as you can by contracting the glutes. So you're sort of like, think about doing the deadlift motion here, and then you're going to contract. So you're extending the hips, hip extension, and then contraction, just like we would be doing during a deadlift. So the only place really you're going to feel this is primarily glutes and a little bit hamstrings. You want to keep the chin tucked so that we can keep the spine as neutral as possible through the entire exercise.
And then our last exercise is, again, single leg work. We're using a cable. I think I call it a step down up, but it's more of like a stepped down because the focus is really, really on the eccentric portion. So really hinging, really loading that working leg, and really making sure the glute is the main driver of this exercise. Some core, a little bit of quad, but mostly glute. And again, unilateral, you're working to identify which side's weaker, which side's stronger, and then working to correct any kind of imbalance that you find. Step downs, 8 to 15 reps. See what feels good, see what feels challenging, make sure you're using a challenging weight.
For this exercise, it's called a cable step up, but really it's more of a cable step down because our working leg is going to stay stationary. So we're going to find a box that's about knee height, or you could use a bench. And we're going to keep the cable attachment low, and we're going to load the opposite hand from the working leg. And then you can use the side of the cable system to help you be a little bit more stable. But we're keeping that front foot, the working leg, just planted onto our bench here. And we're stepping back very slow and controlled so that we're really, really loading primarily the glute in this exercise. So here, we're going to hinge way back. You're reaching for the floor, and then you're going to drive through that front foot to come back up to standing position. So it's bending the knees somewhat, but it's also hinging way, way back. So you're really reaching those hips backwards and really looking for that load on the glute. So you should feel this primarily like under the glute, the more bottom portion of the glute. You should not feel this in your knee. You do need to be using your core. This is a lot of stabilization required in this exercise, but you should not feel it in your back.
And that is it for today. If you give the exercise a try and you like it, let me know. If you give it a try and you hate it, again, let me know. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel so that you can continue to get updates when we update our workouts and our instructional trainings that we do, also recipes. All right, have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.